Hey everyone, is it 2025 yet? Does everybody else, like me, plan their books a couple months in advance for the entire year? No? Well, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem, and these are the 10 series that I want to start in 2025. So come join me on this reading adventure. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer, now also a booktuber. You can find my music on The Wheel of Time Season 2, His Dark Materials Season 3, and the newly released psychological horror film, Dead Whisper. So, I've been super excited about 2025 already for a lot of reasons, but in no small part due to many different series I've been discovering over the last year and that I've been putting on my TBR. And I figured, you know what? Instead of just kind of going willy-nilly into 2025, I'll go in with a plan. I may, kind of space these books out depending on kind of what I'm feeling. And I'm always a mood reader as well as a planner. So they're always fighting for control over my TBR. And so I figured I'd let both of them have at it. And I'd plan some stuff in advance, maybe decide which one I want to move higher or lower on the priority list. Due to my mood. But I would also love to pose the question to you all. If you've read any of these, if you would make any recommendations on ones I should move higher or lower on this list, let me know in the comments, because I always love to create a dialogue with you, as I always like to say. So please like and subscribe if you like this kind of video, and let's jump on into the first series I want to try, which is The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. Now, I've heard about this series for so long now. Everybody talks about how it's such an underrated series. I think Library of a Viking always talks about it quite a bit. I've seen it on many different channels. And I've been very interested in it because I love Ken Liu's writing. I've read some of his other works, and I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper. So I kind of pulled up a description here that's a non-spoiler description on what the series is about if you all don't know, but it's a tetralogy. It's a secondary fantasy world in which the heroes are engineers, not magicians. It melds East Asian and classical philosophies and traditions, spans multiple generations and continents, and builds a new mythology from the actions of its heroes. I love I grew up in an Indian household. East Asian culture, South Asian culture, things like that are something that are really important to me personally. And I love seeing its representation in books and in also in fantasy. I think we live in a time where fantasy has become so much more broad, and the kinds of stories that are being told are so much more diverse. So I'm very excited about that. I love Ken Liu's writing. I'm looking forward to checking this one out. It's 4 books, so I'll be able to pepper it throughout the year with, they're kind of chonkers if you've ever seen them. They're kind of all door stoppers, but given Ken Liu's prose, I think they're going to move pretty fast. And I just love the way he writes. So if you've read it, let me know in the comments, how you felt about it, and if you would recommend I, start this in January or start it a little bit later in the year. But let's move on to the second series out of 10. Now, the second series I want to start in 2025, The Wars of Light and Shadow series by Jenny Wirtz. So Jenny Wirtz is so kind. She sent me like 7 of her books. So I wanted to at least feature them on the channel and kind of read them. I've been chomping at the bit ever since I read To Ride Hell's Chasm a couple months ago, and I absolutely loved it. Her prose is very dense, but it's very beautiful. And it begs, very thought-provoking discussions around her characters. That's one thing I really love about To Ride Hell's Chasm, and I've heard it's even more so in The Wars of Light and Shadow. So it's an 11-book series where nothing is quite as it seems. Character POVs start to reveal their motivations are not quite what they seem at first glance. So very complex, intricate, probably complex like a Malazan Book of the Fallen type of thing, but much more accessible in that she doesn't just drop you in the middle and have you fend for yourself. She leaves all these different breadcrumbs for you to kind of explore. So I'm really looking forward to that. So Jenny, again, thank you so much for sending me these books, and we are going to dive into that. So we're going to start actually The Curse of the Mistwraith, which is book 1 in January. So if you all want to join along and kind of create some discussions around that, please let us know in the Discord channel. We have a Discord channel linked down below, and you can kind of join in those discussions. So excited for this, yet another epic fantasy series on the list. Now, the third one alludes to the official channel read-along, the one that won the poll by just a small margin, and that was Malazan Book of the Fallen. This is 10 books. It's a military fantasy. They're all chonkers. And what Steven Erikson does is he kind of drops you in the middle of the world, has you fend for yourself. Like I mentioned, it spans multiple continents, hundreds of thousands of years, many different races of beings, and it chronicles the journey of this Malazan empire. So it's a military fantasy, and it provokes a lot of philosophical discussions. It's very dense, but you know, this is kind of a fantasy series that is often intimidating for a lot of people. So, you know, I figure, why not just read it all together, right? If you have your friends reading together, it's never that intimidating. We can all discuss stuff together. So I'm going to be opening up Gardens of the Moon and kind of opening up the channels in the Discord channel there for us all to kind of discuss about it. And we're going to start that in January. And also, if you want to see kind of a little bit more about that read along, I'm linking the video up here. And the calendar for Malazan is also on my community post. So if you want to check that out, you can see, you know, what our schedule is going. And we're going to read the whole series over, I think, 15, 16 months or so. So it won't be too crazy, I think. I think it will be something that is digestible for everyone. So that is the third series I'm going to read. Now, the fourth series is another one that was on the community poll. One that didn't quite win, but a lot of people are saying, oh, I was really hoping for this one. And this is a unique series because, first of all, it's self-published. Second of all, instead of the typical structure of like novels and maybe a novella here and there to kind of just like give you little bonus stories or something, side stories or tangents, this is where the novellas are actually crucial to the forward motion of the storyline. And of course, I'm talking about The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill. Now, I first heard about him from Mike's book reviews. I've heard about him from Philip Chase now. I think they're doing a read-along of some of those books as well. And so, you know, I've been wanting to know more about it. It's like Dragon Rider fantasy. And from what I've understood, you know, Mike from Mike's book reviews talks about how Of War and Ruin, which is the third book, I think, not the novella, but the third actual, you know, full-length novel in that, which clocks in at around, you know, 1,200 pages or something, is supposed to be as good as Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. So that is high praise, and that means that I definitely have to check it out. So we're going to be doing a soft read along for that series as well on the channel. So it might be a reading frenzy for me, but I'm willing to do it for you all. So let's rally and read some great books together. So that was the fourth series. Now, the fifth series, this is one that is by an author named Tad Williams. Now, Tad Williams, I haven't read some of his more well-known works. I started with Otherland, which is kind of his sci-fi fantasy epic about, how do I put it, like, about virtual worlds, and kind of, it's got a little bit more of a Dark Tower influence. It's very kind of out there in the concepts and stuff. But I'd also heard about his other series, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. You know, I've heard about this one for a long time because it was kind of the OG series that got George R.R. Martin to write Game of Thrones, who was a very big influence on that. So, you know, anything Song of Ice and Fire related or something that would have influenced it is something I really want to check out. And luckily, Josh from Red Fury Books, who I'm also linking down below, is going to be doing a read-along on his Fireside Discord with Joanna from Joanna Reads as well. So, you know, I'm linking their Discord channel below as well. So definitely check that out. It's a wonderful channel. I just joined it recently, and I've been looking forward to joining this read-along. So I believe they're going to be reading it in January for the first book. The second book will be February, and then I think March and April for the third book, because it's so massive. To Green Angel Tower, I think, is the third one. But really looking forward to checking out this book and this series as well. So that is the fifth series that I'm going to be reading. As I mentioned on this channel before, I love Joe Abercrombie. I read the First Law trilogy. I've read 2 of the standalone books, Best Served Cold, and what was the other one? The Heroes. And I want to read Red Country. I'm probably going to start that maybe in December if I can fit it in, amongst all the other books that are on my list in December. But I really want to read the Age of Madness trilogy, which is, if you don't know, it's a sequel trilogy that takes place after the events of the First Law trilogy. Now, one thing that, if you haven't read First Law, I highly recommend it. It is grim dark. So it is a little bit more bleak, but I will say, you know, in comparison to other bleak series, Joe Abercrombie has this wit and kind of dark sense of humor. I've laughed out loud while reading that series, you know, which is very rare that you could do that. You could juxtaposition this kind of bleak otherworldly atmosphere with this kind of humor, and kind of acerbic humor and wit. I just love the way Joe Abercrombie writes that stuff, and his character work is some of the best in fantasy. So I'm really looking forward to reading the Age of Madness trilogy and rounding out the First Law universe, which I'm going to be sad to do when I finally get to that 9th and final installment. But I'm also very excited to see where these characters end up. So have you guys read the First Law trilogy or any of the First Law books? Let me know in the comments. I know he's going to be releasing something that's not in the First Law universe next year called The Devils, which I don't know much about, but I'm looking forward to checking that out as well. And I want to finish the First Law before that happens. So that is the 6th series that I'm going to be reading. Now the 7th series, we're going to take a break from fantasy extravaganza here for a little bit, and I want to read the Children of Time series by Adrian Tchaikovsky. So I don't know too much about this, except for I know something that is kind of a little bit of a twist that I don't want to spoil. So let's just say that there's humans, there's possibly another species that is evolving as well, and you kind of get to juxtaposition different POVs of these two things. And it's a sci-fi epic. I've heard great things about it. I've had a few false starts with this book, Children of Time, the first book in the series, over the last few months. And I guess I wasn't really in sci-fi mode at that time. And I figured if I give myself a year to really tackle this, then I can fit it in at a time when I really feel compelled to read them. But it's a 3-book series, so nothing too crazy amongst all these other massive series. So I'm excited to kind of check that out. Let me know if in the comments if you've checked out the Children of Time series as well. Like I mentioned in that community poll, another one that lost, but it was actually the closest to Malazan. It came in second on that community poll, and that's the Matthew Corbett series, a historical fiction series by Robert McCammon. Now, if you haven't read Robert McCammon, do me a favor, stop this video. Don't even finish it till the end. Go pick up either Boy's Life or Swan Song. You won't regret. I picked up both of those books. They're both on my top 10 books of all time in any genre. So he is 2 for 2 on that side of things. And I've read a couple of his other works, which are fantastic as well. So Matthew Corbett, it kind of takes place in the 1600s, I believe. And I believe the first book, which is called Speaks the Nightbird, he's kind of like an investigator, I guess. There's a woman whose people claim is a witch, but all may not be what it seems, and he kind of investigates it. So from what I understand, it's a historical fiction kind of epic, and it's I want to say 10-book series. I think the last book just came out, so it is completed as well. So if you all want to join on that, I'm going to start the first installment in January as well. So it's going to be a stacked January reading month, but hey, that's how we like to do it, right? Start off the new year strong. So if you want to join, Discord channel is where it's at. And we have a bunch of people who are going to be joining that one, actually. So I'm really excited about that. Then the 9th series is, again, a little break from fantasy. And this one is another historical fiction epic. And it is called the Kingsbridge series by Ken Follett. So Ken Follett, I have read a couple of books from his Century trilogy, which charts 5 families across 100 years of history. Some of the best books I've ever read, honestly. Truly, he's gifted with the pen, and I'm excited to see what the fuss is all about with the Kingsbridge series. Now, if you don't know what that is, I think it's like a 5-book series, if I remember correctly. It starts with his world-famous Pillars of the Earth, which is often known as one of the greatest works of the 20th century, and it's about people who want to build a cathedral in like the year 1300 or something. It's something like that, right? It doesn't seem like it should be a riveting premise, but from what I've heard, it's supposed to be absolutely a page turner from beginning to end. And to say something that is a page turner when it's like at 1,000 pages is no small feat, right? And I've read, his Century trilogy. They're both clocking at around 900 pages, riveted from start to end. I think his character work is one of the best, if not the best. Arguably, if somebody commented in the comments and said he's my favorite character writer, I would be right there with you. I would like, yeah, I can totally see that. So highly excited about that one as well. I don't think I'm going to be able to complete all these series, of course, but I'm going to be able to start them, and that was the impetus of this video. At some point, I'm going to actually do another video, which is a series I want to complete in 2025. But I just wanted to let you know that before I hit the 10th and the last series, and that is Robin Hobb's Live Ship Traders trilogy. So if you don't know, Robin Hobb is the author of The Realm of the Elderlings, which is a 16-book fantasy epic, her life's work. It consists of 4 trilogies and 1 quadrilogy. So I've read the Farseer trilogy, the first 3 books in her 16-book epic. I read them with John from Disquiet and Dragons and Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books, who I also linked below. Had a wonderful time with them reading those, and I've been really looking forward to Live Ship because so many people say that that's Robin Hobb at her heights of her powers. So I already love Farseer, so I'm like, something better than Farseer? Sign me up. So I'm really looking forward to checking those out. I don't know exactly when, I'll get to them. I was talking with John. I'll reach out to Ellie maybe, and don't want to put you on the spot, Ellie, but of course you're always welcome to join if you'd be down for that. And it'd be lovely to read with you fine folks again. So that was my 10. If I have time, and this is going to be a very maybe, but I've been hearing about R. Scott Baker from so many of these channels on BookTube now. And he is the author of the Prince of Nothing trilogy. And there's also the Aspect Emperor. I think there's like a quadrilogy or something, if I remember correctly. And so it's supposed to be the bleakest fantasy ever written. It's kind of how it's touted. But people say, if you like Malazan, if you like Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff, it is very thought-provoking fantasy. So thought-provoking, I love that kind of stuff. That's my favorite. That's my jam. The only reason I'm saying maybe is, as you can tell, I already have so many stacked fantasy series I want to start next year. And I want to actually complete series 2. I don't want to just like sit there with a bunch of book 1s, right? That's always the tough part with doing any of these videos, because you start to realize just how many books there are out there left to discover. And my cat is meowing behind me, so I guess she agrees as well. But, let me know in the comments how you feel about these. If you have any favorites on this list you think, like, absolutely, Nikhil, like, drop everything, start this one. Forget about the rest. They don't matter. It's all about this one. Let me know in the comments as well. And chime in if you want to join in on these with me. And, of course, you're welcome to join the Discord. We'd love to have you, and we could start our discussions or continue our discussions there. So, with that, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I will see you in the comments and the next video. Take care.